Ohio State has a starting quarterback. Julian Sand will be the Buckeyes starting quarterback when it faces Texas to open the season on August 30th, as Ryan Day announced on August 19th or 18th. Is it 18th? Okay. So we were all off. We were early. You were late in terms of when it was going to happen. You said a week from now. That's why. Well, I don't remember. The point of the matter is Ryan Day has named the starting quarterback. It is Julian Sand, as we expected it to be. So now the conversation shifts from when will Ohio State name its starting quarterback to evaluating what we think that quarterback might look like in its first game. And it's not like he has a tune-up game to get ready to do this, Stefan. Out the gate, he's got to play the number one team in the country. And how is that shaping what you think realistic expectations will be from Julian Sand the first game of the season?
Yeah, welcome to being Ohio State's starting quarterback. You have Heisman-level expectations on you. I think that's where things start with Julian Sayin is week one. He's got to come out and be a guy who looks ready to go, right? And that's not saying that Ohio State's 100% going to win that game or that Julian Sayin is going to throw, for 1,000,000 yards. But, he's got to show the signs of why he won the starting quarterback competition and show signs that by the time you get to December and you get to the college football playoff, that this is a guy who can win you a championship. And there's a lot that goes into that. And I think what's maybe the most interesting part now of watching Julian Sayin's life transpire over these next few months is Ryan Day always talks about what it means to be the quarterback at Ohio State. And talent is never really what he's talking about in those conversations because C.J. Stroud, Justin Fields, Dwayne Haskins, even Kyle McCord and Will Howard, those guys, well, maybe not, maybe Will Howard's its own thing because all those other guys were super talented, super highly recruited. And Will Howard showed you that you can win a title without a super highly, a highly rated quarterback because of other traits that matter as well. And that's going to be the biggest thing now for Julian Sand is how does he develop as a leader? How does he learn to be Ohio State's quarterback? Will Howard always knew the right things to say in front of the microphone. He always knew how to handle the criticism that came with losing at Oregon or losing at against Michigan. When they lost at Oregon, he became a meme because he was the guy that slid when the clock expired, and he knew how to handle that. He knew how to handle going viral for the wrong things, right? He knew how to handle being the guy that lost that Michigan game and all the emotions that came with it. How does Julian Sayin handle that? Because there's the good and the bad that comes with being Ohio State's starting quarterback, and I kind of laughed a little bit when Ryan Day talked about that because the bad of being Ohio State's starting quarterback is us. You got to deal with us. You got to deal with talking to us all the time. You got to deal with the criticism that comes even when you beat Akron by they beat them by 50 last year, and we're like, well, what's going on with the defensive line? What's going on with the offensive line? That's the stuff that comes with being Ohio State's starting quarterback. So we knew Julian Sayin had all the talent to get to this point. Now it's time to throw him into the fire and see how he handles everything else that comes with being Ohio State's starting quarterback. And that's going to be maybe what you can see right away against Texas. Because the talent we know he can make a pass to Jeremiah Smith down the sideline. We know he can make a pass to Max Clare over the middle of the field, even against a high-level defense like Texas is. How does he handle being Ohio State's starting quarterback in a matchup of number 1 versus number 3 on Big Noon Kickoff?
To be fair, when things are good, we acknowledge that too. It's not like we just come out and go, hey, it's time to hate. When Will Howard was awesome, we said that. Well, we said it. He took a little longer to get there. But, Andrew, what are your expectations for Julian Sand week one? How should people view success in week one, outside of obviously just winning the football game?
Play well, because if he plays well, I'll say he played well. There were games where Will Howard didn't play well, and I said he didn't play well, and I wasn't afraid to say Will Howard didn't play well. Specifically Penn State, specifically Michigan, Iowa, perhaps we could talk about that game.
You had 2 incompletions.
I think the number one thing for Julian Sand, especially early on, how many times did Ryan Day and Brian Hartline say he took care of the football, or he's taking care of the football? And I don't think that that's necessarily a shot at Lincoln saying, man, Lincoln was a turnover machine, but I think that was Julian is the guy who's not turning the football over. And especially early on in his career and his tenure at quarterback for Ohio State, because Ryan Day named his starting quarterback for 2025 today. If things go well, he named his starting quarterback for 2026 too. So this is not a kind of a short, let's see how it goes plan. This is something that should last Ohio State into January of 2027. So just kind of wrap your head around that and think about how long that this might go on. So the number one thing early on, I think, for him is to just take care of the football. He's got the weapons. He's got a good running game. I think we all like their running backs and the talent they have there. I think we all feel comfortable with Ohio State's offensive line, and we'll see kind of what's up there. Max Clare is probably the best pass-catching tight end we've had in, a couple of years to talk about. I mean, you've been here longer, Steven, so you can maybe kind of discuss the previous tight ends. But
You covered Cade Stover.
Max Clare's a better receiving tight end than Cade Stover is. Maybe not all
Objectively, you are correct, but
Yeah.
it's not like Cade Stover was just chop liver.
right.
He was a Mackey Award finalist.
Of course. But I think Max Clare might be tight end 1 in the NFL draft. So, and then the receiving talent is just ridiculous. So if you can get Julian Sand to do the little things right, hey, take care of the ball, don't force things, find out, your rhythm of the offense. Everything else is going to come as he grows into this role. Early on, it is about doing the simple things because Texas is going to try to throw a lot at him. And if I was Texas's defensive coordinator and Texas's defense, I'm confusing. I'm hiding everything. I'm disguising everything. I'm trying to make things as hard as possible on Julian Sayin and by virtue their receiving core. So take care of the ball. Don't overextend yourself. And the plays are going to be there to be made. And if he does that early on, I think Ohio State's going to be feeling really, really good about what he's going to grow into over the course of this year and then over the course of his career here at Ohio State, which could be 2 or 3 years.
I think that emphasis on taking care of the ball has been a universal thing for Ohio State, which is why Will Howard is the only starting quarterback Ryan Day's had here that's thrown more double-digit interceptions in his career. And 2 of those interceptions came in the college football playoff where we were like, all right, so you do it to JJ. I'd do that too. You guys are talking about Julian and what he needs to do. I don't think it's about him, and it's the way I preference the question to Ryan Day. He's brought this up in the past how C.J. Stroud threw for 400-something yards against Oregon, and yet if you were on the speed at the end of that game, if you were around this program at the end of that game, it felt like everybody was burn the witch, burn the witch, burn the witch. It was we're kind of like they were over the C.J. Stroud experience 2 games in, and Ryan Day's like, I don't know, man, that dude threw for 400 yards. He was pretty good. I don't know what you guys are talking about there. And C.J. Stroud is not why they lost to Oregon. Yes, he threw an interception at the end of that game, but again, he had 400 yards in that game. He was not the reason. It's just he was young in his second game as a starter, and so he wasn't ready to go win them the game yet. And I went and looked back at the last 25 years, how often Ohio State has opened the season with a ranked opponent. It's been twice. 2003, Craig Krenzel, who already had 16 starts under his belt. 2022, C.J. Stroud, who already had 12 starts under his belt. Craig Krenzel played Washington as the number 17 team in the country, and C.J. Stroud played Notre Dame as the number 5 team in the country. Well, Julian Sand's got to do this week 1. A lot of these other quarterbacks in the Ryan Day era have had build-up. Justin Fields got the build-up to Nebraska. Kyle McCord got the build-up to Notre Dame. Will Howard got the build-up to Oregon. Julian out the gate has to, if we're saying that Julian Sand out the gate's got to be whatever the best version of himself is going to be, that's not a realistic expectation to be. So I think it's on this coaching staff. It's on Brian Hartline. It's on Ryan Day. It's on Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Max Clare, Brandon Ennis, this offensive line, these running backs to help him in a way that they did not help the last person who fit his description 3-4 years ago when CJ was the highly rated second-year quarterback in his first big game of his career. They did not help him. They have to help him and put him in those positions to where if Julian Sand throws for 400 yards against Texas, it's not for nothing because it came down to one play at the end of the game when you asked your quarterback to throw the ball 50-plus times. So realistic expectations is they get the ball out of his hands quick and the weapons do the work for him. Is there going to have to be a point where Julian does the work? Yes. We saw that with Justin. We saw that with Will. We saw that with Dwayne. We saw it with Kyle. We saw it with CJ. There was a point in their careers where they have to do some of the hefty lifting. And if they can't do that, then they're not going to win. That should not be week 1. And if Julian Sand doesn't look great at halftime or he throws a bad pick, everybody breathe. This is game 1, to Andrew's point, of potentially 32 games, depending on how the next 2 years go, of Julian Sand's career. Don't indict the dude or champion the dude based off 60 minutes of football when there's a long way to go between where he's going to be on August 30th and where he might be 2 years ago. 2 years later, when him and Arch might be battling to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft. Get the text 614-350-3315. It's a 2-week free trial and $3.99 after that. And go listen to Buckeye Talk wherever you find podcasts. We're going to be talking about Julian Sand, Arch Manning, and plenty more, because Ohio State's got to play the number 1 team in the country to open up this season. I'm Steven, that's Stefan, and that's Andrew. See ya.